very warm welcome to all the esteemed listeners who have found time for this very important subject, climate change. The core objective of the PCW Climate Series is to create awareness on climate change, request experts to come in and speak about this very important topic and inspire people to take action to mitigate the risks that we are currently facing, and also to show the way forward. First episode, we are honored to have Vandana Chavan ma'am, who is the member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. She has been an initiator of various climate action movements and also has been instrumental in saving the hills of Pune.
Congratulations for having started the climate series. A few years back, when we heard about climate change, we thought it was happening somewhere at the North and South Pole in the form of melting of glaciers and the polar bears facing the threat of extinction. Today, we experience climate change in absolutely every part of the world in some form or the other, whether it is high or low temperatures or changing rainfall patterns. So, yes, climate change is happening and we are all experiencing it. Climate change, if you go by the definition, is a long term shift in partly because of natural causes. It has happened over the years. But now, as scientists and experts say, that this is mainly anthropogenic and this is due to human activities. And we are facing the impacts, we are seeing the impacts now. As we see, climate change impacts are happening differently in different regions. In some, you see that we are facing hotter temperatures, extreme droughts, and obviously, we see especially in India, we see the farmers committing suicide. So, this is affecting agriculture. The kind of crop that should have yielded doesn't yield. Overall, health and physical output of people has reduced because of the heat. People can't go out. People who work outdoors are not able to work to their full extent. And therefore, hot temperatures certainly make a difference in our life and overall livelihood patterns. And of course, the health. Hotter temperatures also lead to forest fires. We saw massive forest fires in various places all over the globe. This obviously depletes the already sensitive forests and green cover and endangered wildlife. So, reduction of green cover is absolutely very important and a very serious issue which we all are facing. Impacts could be in the other form. There could be torrential rains, cloudbursts, again, which we are facing. This causes flooding and loss of life and property. We see melting of glaciers causing rise in sea levels, displacing and affecting livelihoods of people, and various other impacts, such as increase in disease. Some of the disease which we have never ever heard earlier are now spreading at a very big pace. Extinction of species. I still remember in college when I took up biology and we used to do dissection of a frog. If our cut went wrong, we would tell our teacher, "Sir, kindly give us another specimen because I have not done my dissection properly." And the professor would happily give us another frog. But now we see that this very frog has become extinct, and therefore extinction of species is rampant, and many such other impacts due to climate change is what we are facing today. Why is it happening? This has started happening more so after the industrial age. Since the industrial age, we realize that man has embarked, you and me have embarked upon a lifestyle that literally pumps or injects pollution and extra greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane into the thin layer of Earth's atmosphere, resulting in the atmosphere now trapping more than the normal heat of the sun that is required to make our Earth livable. The average temperature of the Earth is 15 degrees centigrade, but this is now changing, and because it is 15 degrees centigrade, Earth is livable. If more and more greenhouse gases get trapped into the atmosphere, then the atmosphere starts trapping or more heat from the sun, and therefore our Earth is becoming warmer and warmer by the day. Our electricity comes by burning coal or fossil fuel. And obviously, wherever we have our thermal power plants, that's where the burning happens, and carbon dioxide and other such gases are put in the atmosphere. The second reason is also our cars and the forms of transportation that we use, even the aeroplanes. When these are moving, they again pump a lot of carbon dioxide and several other gases, greenhouse gases, into the atmosphere. And as days go by, the cars keep on increasing. And therefore, people talk about going to the electric vehicles, people talk about having better transportation systems. Even for that matter, the production of food and the food waste, that is also a reason for generation of methane gas. When our garbage, our household waste goes to the landfill site, that's where the methane gas emits. And that again increases the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Our buildings are also responsible. The cement and all other material that comes for the construction of buildings also is responsible for greenhouse gases. And therefore, the governments have now started talking about green building codes. They have started talking about going back to the age-old material and changing layouts of construction as we had good in the good old days. And therefore, these are important aspects in which we have to consider how how our carbon footprint is increasing by the day, and how we are literally pumping and injecting all these greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The world has been talking about environment and its degradation, the pollution, way back since 1972. And worldwide, at the United Nations level, there have been four very landmark conferences which happened from 1972. The first conference was the Stockholm Conference, which is the United Nations Conference on Human Environment, way back in 1972. This was called the Stockholm Conference. The second conference came in 1992, which was the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, commonly known as the Rio Conference or the Earth Summit. The third conference happened in 1997. Of course, there were little conferences happening here and there, but these were the landmark four ones. The third is United Nations General Assembly Special Sessions on Sustainable Development in 1997, which is called Earth Summit 2. And then the World Summit on Sustainable Development in 2002 in Johannesburg. Then, of course, lately we have had the Paris Agreement, where all the countries from all over the world converged and made concrete commitments to bring down their carbon emissions. Now, India has played a very, very important role in all these conferences. We have been an important participant in these international dialogues. And I feel very happy to say that our country has responded as soon as such conference happened and deliberations took place there. After the Stockholm conference, where our then Prime Minister Indira Ji Gandhi was present and played a stellar role, several legislations were enacted in our country to do with environment. One was the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, the Forest Conservation Act, the Wildlife Protection Act, the Environment Protection Act, the Biological Diversity Act. Not only this, several other legislations, but also there was an amendment to the Constitution, the 42nd Amendment to the Constitution, which inserted certain fundamental duties just as we have our fundamental rights, we also have fundamental duties, as we all know. And Article 48A and Article 51AG to protect and improve environment was made a part of the Indian Constitution. So that was a major contribution. And since then, the laws have amended time to time as and when it was required. After the Rio conference, that's the 1992 conference, at the behest of the then Prime Minister Sri Rajiv Gandhi, we had an amendment again in the Constitution, which is called the 73rd and 74th Amendment. This, of course, gave 33% reservation to women in politics. But along with that, it did a very important thing that in my school days, I have when we studied the constitution, we studied about the central government, how it has to function, the state government, how it has to function, the judiciary, the executive, and several other constitutional institutions, the way it has to function. The local self governments never ever formed a part of the Indian constitution. But it was thanks to the 73rd and 74th Amendment, which was brought about during that time, that the local self governments, right up to the panchayat level, was incorporated in the Constitution of India. And in this constitution, the local governments played an extremely, or rather, play an extremely important role as far as protection of the environment is concerned. There has to be a participatory process where citizens get involved in all the functioning of the local self governments. And this is one of the important thing which happened, because in the Rio conference, there was something called the Agenda 21, which said that think globally but act locally. So if climate change is happening all over the globe, it's impacting the whole world. But if actions have to be taken, they have to be grassroots actions. And therefore, this was the recognition that local governments play an extremely important role in addressing climate change. Coming later to the government's decision, Dr. Manmohan Singh's government designed and introduced the NAPCC, which is the National Action Plan for Climate Change, in 2008, with its 8 missions, ranging right from the protection of the Himalayan ecosystems to sustainable habitats to biodiversity to water to solar energy efficiency and the greening of India. Now, under the able leadership of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, India has been a signatory to the Paris Agreement, and we have made some very, very crucial commitments. And two of the most important commitments that we have made to the world, just as the other countries have made in accordance with the Paris Agreement, two of these are to increase our non-fossil fuel energy capacity. We know that our electricity comes by burning coal and fossil fuel. However, now the energy capacity would increase to by 50% in the energy basket by using non-fossil energy sources like solar, like wind, um, and various other sources. The second commitment we have done is to create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent. I don't know how many zeros that would be, but this means that we have massive plantations which would sequester the carbon dioxide that we emit due to pollution through additional forests and tree cover. As one can see, that we are moving towards these commitments. Main thing is to reduce our carbon footprint at all levels. As far as the government is concerned, we normally blame the government, that the government should do this, the government should do that. But as far as the government is concerned, I think due to all these conferences, the United Nations conferences which happen, the government has made commitments on the international fora and has been working in that direction. So, as far as the government is concerned, the policies are concerned, they are in place and they are still being worked on. However, I need to say that we also need to walk the talk, because some of the projects which are being taken up by the central government or get clearances by the central government are hazardous to the environment and need to stop. And these are in the name of development, but we have to assess whether that kind of development really is a thing that we need, or are we ready to compromise our environment for such kind of development? That's a call we as a government, we as citizens need to take. But unfortunately, I feel some of the programs which are being taken are going a little overboard. As state and local governments are concerned, I think a lot needs to be done. Most of the states are still not submitted their state action plan on climate change, or if they have submitted, they are really not. It's only on paper, and nothing much is being done. As far as cities are concerned, most of the cities are miserably lagging in the information or in the knowledge and know-how to mitigate and adapt to climate change. So these are issues which one has to take up, and I think we have a lot of challenge. As individuals, as you and me are concerned, I think we play a very important role. Each one of us has to commit to reduce our carbon footprint, and we can do a great deal if we do that. And by doing just simple things, it could be at individual level, changing my own lifestyle, changing our lifestyle while we move around in our houses, at our in our offices, at our workplaces, and then trying to form groups and bringing some kind of pressure on the local governments to act in a proper direction. Save energy, for example. A simple thing like you can switch off your fan, you can switch off the light when you're going from one room to the other, switch off the appliances when they are not in use. If it's possible, geysers are uh, from where you get your hot bath water every morning are guzzlers of electricity. And if you can use solar panels to get your hot water, that is the need of the day. You need to save water because every drop of water that comes to your house has a very high carbon footprint. It comes from the rivers, it gets treated, after that it comes through the pumping stations where again electricity is used, then it comes to your your society, your home, where it is pumped into an overhead tank, and then you get it. So every drop of water has a very, very high carbon footprint. You need to save water. Thirdly, our waste, which is very important. We need to adopt the 5 R's, as they say. Refuse. First of all, refuse. If you don't want something, don't take it. Reduce your intake, reuse, repurpose, and recycle. These are things that you must keep in mind. Segregate your garbage at home into wet and dry. Compost food waste. That is important. It should not go to the landfill site. Recycle whatever is possible, whether it's paper, whether it's bottles, whatever that you can put to use has to be recycled. And no to plastics. That's absolutely important. Not only plastics, but even microplastics today are causing havoc in the life of human beings and animals. And therefore, we need to be very conscious about all these things that we use. Another thing which is very, very important is form groups for collective actions. A lot of times you want to recycle certain things, but you feel, how can I do it alone? Why don't we form groups of citizens where each one boosts the other, each one encourages the other to do this and go forward? So form groups, form citizens group for climate action. Creating awareness is very important. If I adopt a lifestyle where I'm going to decrease my carbon footprint, and there's my friend who's not going to do it and is still going to have a very high carbon footprint, it is as dangerous to him and it is to me, even if I have compromised on my lifestyle. So, create awareness and make people understand that we have to address this issue because this not only is a threat to you and me at my and your age, but it is a major threat to our future generations. We all have to realize that we have no planet B. Planet Earth is the only planet, and we have to keep it safe. So adopt all these lifestyle, walk wherever possible, cycle wherever possible, see if you can carpool, lobby for an efficient public transport in the city, try to adopt lifestyle measures where you are conscious about your carbon footprint. Just count your carbon footprint and plant trees wherever it's possible, because trees actually sequester carbon. So these are the few things that I think we need to follow. I'm very happy that this year the government of India, through the mission life is encouraging citizens to adopt lifestyle changes to address climate change. And this is the 75th year of India's independence, in which the theme is Nation First, always first. And therefore, if we have to really be conscious about the nation being first, we have to make ourselves first by adopting such lifestyle measures. So, Mission Life gives you 75 sustainable actions, simple measures which you can follow and make our give our future, give our children a better future to live in.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
I thank you so much for these great insights for the call for action that we need to take at our individual level. Um, what message would you give the audience for this Independence Day?
So, as I said, Nehal, this is the 76th Independence Day, which we will be celebrating another 2 days. And the theme is Nation First, Always First. So, we have to keep, I would say, even a step ahead, that the globe is now one big family. We are all facing issues of climate change. Each action of each individual counts. And if we need to have a brighter future, a healthier future, and that's what we owe our future generations, I believe. We have to start and resolve on the 15th of August that I will start every day by taking actions which will be sustainable and which will consciously give a better future to my children and my grandchildren.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the insights and for the sustainable lifestyle message that we should adopt at our own individual level. I think this Independence Day, we should take this pledge individually, and we hope to continue so for the upcoming independence years as well. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the lovely insights.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks.